Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at. I'm hoping that you are well. Please join us. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please come in, enter. We're ecstatic to see you. Come on in. Let me say to you, I'm sure that some of you probably tried to join us an hour ago. We, in the United States, we gained an hour. The clocks went back. So there may be some of you, particularly on a Sunday, who might have been still looking at 11 a.m. as 12 p.m. just because of the time. And so I think it's a good time for us perhaps to talk a bit about time, Welcome. Come on in, come on in, come on in. We're looking to see you. Join us for Kemetic Ascension. Join us, join us, join us. I'm hoping that you all are entering. Wait, did I leave the Facebook off? Uh-oh. Oh, no, I didn't. You're there. Okay, good. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Ankh and Ma'at, I am so happy that you are joining us for Kemetic Ascension. I know that there's so many other things that you could be doing on your wonderful Sunday. I am honored that you've chosen to spend part of it with the Shrine of Ma'at. Uja Seneb to you, life, strength, and health. I'm glad that you are joining us. And you know that whenever we gather for Kemetic Ascension, we usually ask you to tell us a few things, do we not? We ask you to tell us where in the world you are and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Where in the world you are and how long you've been part of Kemetic Ascension. I see that Brother T. Colbin has answered. He says he's coming to us from Flint, Michigan. How are things in Flint? Just wondering. I know that Flint certainly entered national consciousness in a powerful way due to its water crisis. But I know that there's so many other things going on in that city that is majority Black. I'd love to know how Flint is going. How are you over there in Flint? I see Heruasar Ankh Amun Ra, who is joining us from Dallas, Texas. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I'm so honored that you are here. Ankh and Ma'at. And joining us for 5 years. Nice long time. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I'm so glad that you have come to join us. We're looking for you all. We're looking for you. Hopefully we will see you all soon. By the way, I'm also hoping that someone will join us in doing the opening of the way. So I am going to put the link in the chat. Please make sure that if you're coming, you join us for the opening of the way. I see Medialtit, I don't know if I'm saying that right, TV. Ankh and Ma'at to you, coming from Paris. Ankh and Ma'at, 1 year. Wonderful, wonderful. Ankh and Ma'at to you. And Tassetti is coming into his 3rd year from Denver. Wonderful. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Jaman has been following from East London. Peace and blessings since 2019. That's 5 years. Ankh and Ma'at to you. We have Detroit Mind Traveler watching since 2022. Wonderful, wonderful. Inferal. Cameron Scroggins from the chosen city of Phoenix. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at. We see Sanet Efua Obujewa coming to us. Ujai. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Wonderful. It's good that you are here. You're always here. Still residing in 3 cities. That is a traveling sister who is looking after her family. Ankh and Ma'at to you. We also have Gaston Bryant, Ankin Ma'at, coming to us from Bennu, from Phoenix, Arizona. How are you, dear brother? It's good to see you out there. Hopefully I'll get out there early next year so I can see you all as well. Ankin Ma'at to Danny's World, tuning in from Manhattan, New York. Where are you in Manhattan? Wow, that's fascinating. Where are you? I wonder where you are. I'm in New Jersey right now, but I'm obviously, I'm usually in Harlem. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to the entire family who are joining us for Kemetic Ascension. We are honored that you are here. We are so enthused that you've chosen to join us. That is an amazing thing, and I'm so ecstatic that you have joined us. I really want to say that I'm actually not going to actually be here that long today. Why? Because Upper East Side, that's really not far from where we are in Harlem, usually on 131st Street. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to you too. We also see Teak Wellbeing from Boston. Peace to the Shrine family. Peace to you as well. I want to say that my plan is not to be here with you for long today. I'm preparing a longer presentation on how we can look at the very time that we keep, the way that we look at the hours of the day, the minutes of the hours, the seconds of the minutes, the way that we look at time and how that has been so thoroughly influenced by the Kemetic tradition. So it's such a simple way to think about the influence of your African ancestors. Just imagine that this means that something as simple as looking at your watch connects you to the greatness, the excellence of ancient Africa. And so I'm preparing a larger presentation. It's not ready. And so I want to be able to talk to you more about that rather than just give you a little bit. Well, I will give you a little bit today. I really want to talk to you more about that when it's finished, because I really do think that the time is of importance to every single person in the modern world. And have we actually thought about how much influence there is of ancient Africa on the modern world? We have not considered that, and we ought to. Ankin Ma'at to Ran Hits Reina, who's coming in from Piscataway, New Jersey. Ankin Ma'at to Aten Amun Ra, coming to us from the Windy City in Chicago, one of our full active members. Ankin Ma'at to you, Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Miro Idalio, Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Kamisha, who is coming to us from the DMV area. You may also know him as Sen Gavin, one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. T. Copen says he's been watching for 6 years. It's politics as usual here in Flint, from the city council to the mayor. Wow. We really hope that things improve so that at least we can be sure that the family is healthy there. That is of critical importance. Ankin Ma'at to Atu Mantu. Ankin Ma'at, songwriter out of Chicago, been with you since 2015. Now, that's a long time. It's 10 years. Ankin Ma'at to you. We see Chris MVP Harris. How are you, dear brother? Been a long time since I've spoken to you. How are you? I hope all is well. A good, scholarly, studious brother who you may see on YouTube doing some powerful stuff. Ankin Ma'ati, brother, it's good to know you're still out there. Chris Doper, Michigan. Hotep, where is your assistance? You talking about the assistance here? That's a whole other story that Shrine members know. We're going to be reformatting and restructuring in the coming months. There's so many members of the Shrine that we're going to be working more to do more as a group. So we will definitely be doing that soon. And it is just me right now, but definitely that will not be for a long period at all. And I see Good, Nefer. I'm glad you're good, Sen Chris. And Atan Amun Ra, yes, coming in from Chicago. Zion Law School. Where's the best source to learn about the celestial ships of the North and the Sabaeans, which is the current zodiac, which we followed before it was replaced for the solar zodiac? Zion Law School, I wish I could answer that question. I don't know if I can answer that question. It's not a topic I've studied extensively, but perhaps in my current study, as I'm looking into time itself, I'll find more. So ask me in the next Kemetic Ascension. Maybe I'll have another answer for you. Ankin Ma'at to send Curtis Jackson, coming to us from Painesville, Ohio, a full member since 2022. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen. Ankin Ma'at to seek energy within. Ankin Ma'at to Ronald Green, watching from Alton, Illinois for 5 years. Ankin Ma'at once again to Chris Doper, Michigan. Ankin Ma'at to you. We see Esquire Astro Sauce, ESQ Astro Sauce. I believe that's supposed to be Esquire, right? Ankin Ma'at to you and Hetepu. Ankin Ma'at to Kimberly Blue. Wonderful to see you there. You've been around forever. Whenever we're here, you're here, coming to us from the DMV. Ankin Ma'at and peace to you as well. I'm so honored that you all are here. I'm so elated that you have sought to join us for Kemetic Ascension. And I'm putting the link to the StreamYard again in the chat. Is there someone in our community that wants to come in and do the opening of the way? You know that in our tradition, this critical ceremony that was put into its current form by our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Pata, actually will allow us to focus on our role in the universe, our connection to all things that exist, our role in seeing ourselves as divine beings capable of surmounting any challenge. It is a critical ceremony, and most of the shrines that exist today are familiar with or practice regularly the opening of the way, done by our wonderful elder, the keeper of the Shrine of Ptah and the elder for the Shrine of Ma'at, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah. I am hoping that someone will come in and do it for us. We'd like for it to be someone that we're well aware of, fortunately or unfortunately, just to make sure that we are bringing someone in who both is able to do the opening of the way and someone who is not going to be trolling. You know that sometimes we get trolls in here, right? Every now and then that happens. I think in our last Kemetic Ascension, someone popped in to say Trump 2024, which was interesting. No conversation, just to troll. And so definitely that is something that happens. So we want to make sure that if someone comes in, they're here with the right intentions. So many of you we know because you have been part of Kemetic Ascension for a long time. If you are not a member of the shrine and know the opening of the way, but someone that's been here forever, you hear me greet you because I see you every 2 weeks. You can also come in and do it as well if you'd like. But we would love to see someone come in and do the opening of the way. Don't allow this simply to be a time that you look at this bald-headed bespectacled man. Make sure that you also are able to be part of our ceremonies in a way that is powerful. I'm hoping that you will join us and that we will see you. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Because as we start, we will start in the way that our elder has instructed us, with the opening of the way. With the opening of the way. And as I said a few, maybe it was last session or a few sessions ago, I'm also going to be doing something shortly in Kemetic Ascension on, it'll be, I guess you could consider a deep dive into the opening of the way. What is its deeper meaning? Who are the Neteru that are mentioned? Why are they formed or pointed in the cardinal points that they are pointed to. That sort of thing. We should actually do it. Maybe a two-part. I may spend part of the time focusing on the female Neteru and then the male Neteru, so that we're able to use our time effectively. But definitely, I'm hoping that you will benefit from that and that you'll join us to do the opening. I don't see anybody coming in. You all act like you are scared. Scared. Why are you scared? Come on in. And you know that we're also supposed to do the HESI. Is there someone that wants to do both? You all are just comfortable with me struggling with my voice, as you've heard me say on many occasions. The creator, the Neteru, and the ancestors have given me many skills, but holding a tune was not one of them. And so I would assume that you should recognize that someone else should do the HESI. And I really would love if someone else would come in and do both the opening of the way and the HESI. Anken Ma'at to Lady Care of Afu Nation Records. Peace and love and Anken Ma'at to you. And I also see Chris Doper of Michigan is saying he'd rather hear the beautiful singing. That's the reason why I'm asking someone else to come in. Anken Ma'at. And let me also say Anken Ma'at to Robert Bunag, who was always here from Daly City, and his girlfriend is there from Los Altos. Anken Ma'at to you. You're always here, and we want to greet you for coming in. How many of you who are not full members think you know the opening of the way? You've probably been coming in and seeing me do it, or seeing one of the members of the shrine do it for an extensive period of time. Have you tried to learn it? It is important that you do. And if you simply just watch these sessions, they're recorded on the platforms that you're looking at, you would actually be able to get familiar with the opening of the way, right? You'd be able to understand how to do it. I'd love to see someone show us what they've learned. Anken Ma'at to Shuet Bebop Rocksteady the second Bach. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I hope I am. From Indianapolis, name DW. I'm not sure what that is, but Anken Ma'at to you. Coming to us from 2019, Anken Ma'at. I haven't seen that name, so I've probably seen you under another name. That's probably what you're trying to say, that there's another name that you usually come in under. What is that name, so I know who you are? It'd be wonderful to know. Let me go ahead and say we're going to start, because I don't plan to be here for an extended period today. I want to actually come back in a few weeks and do an extended presentation on time, not just so that we understand the background, the history of time, if those two phrases don't seem to be contradictory, but I also want to talk to us about how we can think of time and look at time as a way of focusing practically on our Kemetic traditions. And so I'm hoping that you will give me some time to prepare that so I can show it to you. I am seeing our very active member, Senatan Amun Ra. Senatan is coming in from Chicago. I'm so honored that you're here, Sen. How are you?
Anken Ma'at and Tepi, how are you?
I'm good. Anken Ma'at, it's wonderful to see you. Dressed in his orange for Sunday, by the way, if you don't notice, in a beautiful shirt from Nubia. And he's here. He's an active member, a very active member. You all know that. You see him in Kemetic Ascension. He's organized gatherings of members. He's a very active member, and I'm so honored that he's here. You're going to do the opening way for us?
Yes, I'm going to attempt to do it today.
Attempt? I know you know how to do it.
Well, there's a difference in doing it alone and doing it in front of a crowd. So
there is, and I think that's the reason why so many people, we know that full members of the shrine do the opening of the way, right? We know that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people feel uncomfortable doing it to the entire grouping of people. That's what's happening. But
Yes.
we still want you to do it, folks, because the community needs to see you do the opening of the way. So I'm glad that you've come in to lead us, Senaton, and we'll benefit from you doing it with us.
Okay. I'm going to have my children join me because my boys normally do participate with me when I do the opening of the way. Come on, y'all.
Now this is a special treat. Ankin Ma'at to the princes.
Say Uncle Ma'at.
It's wonderful to see you.
All right. All right. So we'll begin by standing in a pose of adoration. We'll place our left foot forward and our right foot behind us. We'll place our left hand slightly forward and raise above our right hand. And we'll slightly bend our hands to expose our palms. This pose represents the ability to give and receive energy. And so when we do this ceremony, we want to make sure that we are in the right state of mind. So we'll begin by taking a deep breath, and we'll be chanting the word for everlasting life. Anetrak in Behet.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Noop in Behet.
Nuke in Bedhet.
Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Noop Hapi.
Hapi.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Let's turn it to the right. Anetrak Circuit.
Anetrak Serket.
Noop Circuit.
Nuke Serket.
Anetrak Keb Sanoop.
Anetrak Keb Senu.
Noop Keb Sanoop.
Nuke Keb Senu.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Anetrak Ost.
Anetrak Ost.
Nook Ost.
Nuke Ost.
Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Omset.
Nook Amset.
Nuke Omset.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nook Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nook Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nook Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nook Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Anetrak Shoe.
Anetrak Shu.
Shoe. 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 Nook Shoe.
Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut.
Tefnut.
Nook Tefnut.
Twawu Inter.
Anetrak Paut Interu. Anetrak Inbu Interu. Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter.
Twawu Inter. Dwa for leading us. And leading us with the princes. That is wonderful. Twawu Inter. Twawu Inter.
Dwa.
To see you. It's wonderful to see you. Hopefully we'll find a way to see you in person so I can see you with my own eyes soon. Dua, dua, dua. That was so much more than we would have expected. Was it not, family, to see this king and his princes doing the opening of the way? Ankh and Ma'at making the legacy continue to thrive in his home and thrive in this community. Ankh and Ma'at and dua, sincerest divine dua to you.
Dua.
That was wonderful. Anything you want to say about the opening of the way?
Well, I would say this. I think that it's become, like you said, it's become a very important part of what I do, right? Like, I think it's extremely important to set the right state of mind and to be in the right state of mind when you go out in the world and have to do all the things that you have to do. One of the important things that I keep in mind when I'm doing the opening of the way are the meaning of the words. And if I'm not mistaken, the meaning of those words can be found on one of the Shrine of Ma'at's websites. I don't want to quote the wrong one, but I know it can be found there. But
yes.
The words that we say, a Necharak, for instance, if we say a Necharak in Behet, it's translated as show me your face in Behet. And then the next word, Nuke in Behet, I am in Behet, which reminds me daily to stay in my divinity and to take on these characteristics as I'm going out throughout my day. And so I think that's important because if you lead with that, you can set yourself up to be the best that you can be.
Two. I mean, I can't say it better. I could not have said it better myself. And he's being humble. He's like, if I'm not mistaken, he knows his stuff. That brother knows his stuff. Listen, he's one of those folks that is a practitioner and a scholar. And so I've heard amazing things about his tour of what used to be known as the Oriental Institute Museum. What is it? Institute of the Ancient World, I think is what they're calling it now.
The Institute for the Study of Ancient Culture.
Yes. I've heard amazing things about his tour there. That's a brother who is a scholar practitioner. And you can see that he means so much to the shrine and also to his family. So dua. His descriptions of the opening of the way are critically important. We have to remember that these divinities, these divine entities are both within us and outside of us. And the opening of the way reminds us that we must continue to manifest that energy, to use that energy as we do our work. It's of critical importance. And sometimes when we feel overwhelmed, we all feel overwhelmed. I know I do. It's important for us to remember just what we are made of, that we are capable of surmounting all of the challenges because these powerful divine forces are within us. But if you're not aware of it, you will definitely feel overwhelmed and be overwhelmed. And so it's of critical importance to remind ourselves of just what we are made of. Dua to you once again. Dua. We mur you and we'll see you soon.
Shimmy Ma'at, family.
Shimmy Ma'at. See you soon. That was amazing. I'm so honored that he came in to do that. And we got so much more than I bargained for because we were actually able to see his princes do it with him. That was Nefer. It was beautiful. So powerful to see that. Let me say Ankh and Ma'at to a few other people. Money and cryptocurrency, I think, came in after I greeted people. Ron Green, Ankh and Ma'at to Ron Green, Ankh and Ma'at to Sinette Olivia B. McGraw, who is Sinette Shen Ka, one of our very active members out of the DMV area. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to all of you who have chosen to join us on this Sunday. I want for us to simply allow ourselves to think. I'm not going to be here much longer. My plan is to have a brief meeting today so that the next one we have, perhaps I think it'll be done by the next one, will be much longer because I want to talk about time And so this is of critical importance for us to do that. But before we do that, I simply want to keep it simple for HESI today. Let's keep it simple. This is a HESI we used to do just regularly. It just is based on that critical term, that critical greeting, that critical salutation that we see etched in stone in temples and tombs and written on the oldest form of paper, papyrus. It is Anku Jasaneb, which simply means life, strength, and health. And I know that for all of the time that I have been in the Kemetic tradition, we have simply just said, we have done a simple HESI of just saying Anku Jasaneb. Now, it will not be as magnificent because it's just me doing it. But usually we end up singing it in a round. What does that mean? We're all singing at a certain point, and then a part of the group, sometimes these are the male and the female, join at different times so that the HESI overlaps. And we would simply say something like, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Saneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Saneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Saneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb, Anku Jasaneb. And that is the way that we would sing that HESI. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I was thinking about this is because I was walking, I guess this must have been Thursday, and didn't have my headphones in, which I would normally have in to and be just inundated with sound or video or something like that I would be listening to as I'd be moving. But I just went into that and was thinking about Anku Jasaneb. And it was just when I arrived at my location to teach, I guess this was Wednesday, when I got to Hunter, I actually felt so much more relaxed and centered. And so I want you to recognize that you should use the HESI for that as well. Am I actually seeing one of our priests? I think I see Ames, Ma'at Amen Ra, Anken Ma'at to you, Hemneter Ames, who is one of our active priests. Haven't seen him in a minute, but that's on me, not on him, because that brother will just come and ring my bell. Anken Ma'at to you. I have known Ames for a really long time, and am looking forward to see him with my own eyes soon as well. And I'm just Anken Ma'at to you. I hope that you're doing well. It's been a minute since we've spoken. Anken Ma'at to Charles Clark. Anken Ma'at to DZ Ankh. Anken Ma'at to Sinette Newt. Michelle Mendez coming to us from Boston. Anken Ma'at to a full member, I should say. Anken Ma'at to Deshaun Marshall. Anken Ma'at to our full member, Sakina Ra. Anken Ma'at to you, Sinette. Anken Ma'at to money and cryptocurrency. I know you've been writing some powerful things. Please forgive me if I'm not mentioning them all. I am reading them. And I hope that the rest of the folks are reading and thinking and talking about it as well. Anken Ma'at to send Jason Holmes, one of our really active members as well, coming to us from Lincoln, Nebraska. Anken Ma'at. Please call you. We'll talk this week. Let's talk this week. I'll shoot you a text and see if you're free, and we'll chat this week so we can possibly link up. He certainly works in Manhattan, so maybe my schedule has been crazy with classes, family. Crazy. But hopefully we'll be able to link up and go get lunch or something like that. So I'll definitely reach out to you this week, Abu Ames. I have been extremely busy with classes. That's a good thing. Trust me, it's a good thing. Because there are times that I feel less busy, and that's not good, at least monetarily. But definitely has meant that I have not had a lot of time outside of, I struggle for you to see me here on Sundays as well, as you can imagine. So let me just say, I definitely will reach out, Abu Ames. You are missed by me, and it is me, it's not you. But definitely we'll connect. Anken Ma'at to Calvin Anderson. Anken Ma'at to Calvin Anderson. And to all of you who I may have missed, chalk it up to my head and not to my ob, because I definitely am hoping that, I scrolled back and noticed, I glanced over and saw Sanette Tashi, and I was talking, so I didn't say Anken Ma'at to her, one of our full members. How are you, dear Sanette? It's wonderful to know that you're still out there. It's been a while since I don't think I've seen you since we were in Detroit, but I know you were always around, and that is Nefer. Anken Ma'at to you, Sanette Tashi. Anken Ma'at to Bambino. Anken Ma'at to all of you who are here. I hope that I have greeted you all as important members of our community. Anken Ma'at. And also Anken Ma'at to Ra. Anken Ma'at to you. So, as I said, from Soho, Ra from Soho, a little bit away from me, Anken Ma'at to you. I hope all is well. Here since 2020, yes, Anken Ma'at. Hopefully we will see each other. And we see Becca Nefer, Anken Ma'at to Herujut Ipata Umikatem Ra, one of our full members. Anken Ma'at to you, dear Sen. I hope all is well where you are out on the West Coast. I hope that you're doing well. Let me say, as I've said to those of you who have come in and have heard me say this, I don't intend to be here for long today, but I want to give you an idea of what is on my mind today, what I am thinking today, because I think it might be important as you are doing your work as well. And I think that some of this happened, perhaps it has been on my mind more because of a discussion that I had recently. I guess it was a debate that I had on Sonnetta's platform with the brothers that are focused on they like to call it a new Bible. Maybe that's what I should call it. And really, it was in this conversation with the adherents to the OASP Bible that I just started thinking more about Kemet in another way again. One of the brothers said to me, I don't know how you can challenge us, like we were challenging them, but I don't know how you could challenge us when the OASP Bible gives us a better understanding of time. And when he said that to me, I just realized that he was just unaware that there's so much information that he did not have, that it was stunning to me. But the thing that I wanted to recount is the fact that when we look at the way in which the modern world considers such an important topic, time, I want us to recognize that this is, by any standard, one of the most important contributions of ancient Chem to the rest of the world. And I'm not sure that everyone is aware of it. Sometimes when you spend your life ensconced in study of ancient Africa, as I have, what happens sometimes is you may have your nose to the grindstone, your head in the books, and not recognize that some people just are not aware of some of the things that you think are the most basic things that they ought to be aware of. And I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, and I'm doing a much longer presentation on this that I will definitely share with the shrine soon. When it's ready, I will definitely share it with you because I think it could be powerful. But what I wanted us to do is think about how this works, how we should be thinking about time, and how time, something that seems so simple and secular, is actually not simple and secular. I think that's the way I thought about it when the brother and he was, he was in a debate, so he was trying to make it a thing, but it just occurred to me that perhaps maybe even I wasn't doing the kind of work I needed to do to have people understand this. And so it sort of has been, I don't know even how to describe it, ruminating with me. And I've been thinking of it, but I really wanted to share with you what I've been thinking about. And I've got to say that one of the reasons why I've been thinking about it so much, perhaps, is also because I have been thinking about how do I even describe this? I've been thinking about time in a really interesting way because it feels most recently that I've had so little of it, first of all, and also that as I consider it, we're also at an important part of the year in the Western world, at least in the United States. Just yesterday, or maybe I should say early this morning, the secular government of the United States, the government of the United States, has decided once again that we will gain an hour. You all know this. I'm sure you're all feeling it today. It is now 12:42, but according to what we've experienced over the last few months, our bodies are still in 1:42, right? We gained an hour of sleep. Perhaps you woke up this morning saying, man, I didn't sleep that long, but I feel so much more rested and relaxed. And then remembered that you had an extra hour. Maybe you got up looking at your watch, which perhaps if you're not using a smartwatch, was on the time you were on Saturday afternoon, on Saturday evening. And now all of a sudden you have an extra hour. So you began to rush to do the things you would normally do on a Sunday and then realize, hey, wait a minute, I don't need to rush. I have a whole extra hour. So today is a day that we focus on time and think about time, something that is so ubiquitous in our lives that we might not actually think about what it is and how we came to be driven by this most simple measurement on a daily basis. I think that's how we all probably utilize time, think about time. It's not something that we think about as being in the purview of a particular group of people. It's not something that we think of as being connected to the divine entities in the universe. We just think of time as something that exists secularly. But is that correct? Well, let me ask you this. I want you to take a look at this. When you look at this, what do you see? What is that? What is that? Someone, I'd like to see some answers. Ankanma'at, by the way, to Lisa Speed Attaway, one of our full members. Ankanma'at. Ankanma'at to Tanya Smiley, another full member. Ankanma'at to Sherelle in McAdam. Shura L in Atlanta, another full member. Ankanma'at to Denise Troy, on Anjay Bryant. Anjay Bryant should be a full member. He's been here forever. Ankanma'at to Anjay Bryant. Anjay Bryant. Ankanma'at. I'm seeing people saying happy. Well, I'm seeing some answers. And they're saying happy for those of you who are have been with the shrine for a little bit less time, or may not be a full member. You might be thinking, well, I'm seeing the baboon, and the baboon in the opening of the way is Hapi. That is correct that the baboon is Hapi. But in this instance, is that the same entity as that entity that it is in the opening of the way? Is that what you are seeing? By the way, let me say, I see Sinette Shenka said she saw that debate. It was a trip. It really was a trip. It really was a trip. It really was. I enjoyed it, but it was a little strange. Hemnetter Ahmed says time is the base where on the planet or ancestors base it on their Ra. Okay. I'm seeing Sean Black said this is how can this make me money and gain me power in the real world? Well, I want you to recognize that powerful people are those people who are able to navigate their environment thoroughly. And so I'm hoping that as your spiritual traditions assist you in being powerful, you will approach all of your challenges, your entire day in power. It is fundamental. I hope you're not just thinking that your spiritual tradition will make you money and gain power, but certainly when you come to the world, when you appear in the world, when you operate in the world from a place of power, it will assist you. So I'm not going to tell you, hey, if you learn about ancient Kemet, you're going to become a billionaire. That's not how this works. But if you operate in the world as a powerful person, which your spiritual tradition should assist you in doing, you will be in a better place. I also see Impu Ndua, one of our full members, that young elder I've mentioned before, saying this is Jehuti. And I see Chris Doper, Michigan, says Jehuti as well. Harold Jehuti says, I don't know, but it makes him happy. Ha ha ha. I like that. Pretty funny. Atin Senatan says Jehuti. Oh, Sinet Danny. I think this is Sinet Danny. Says, much love from Germany. Kolong, Germany. I think that's the furthest away. Ankan Ma'at to Nana Asadu. Ankan Ma'at to all of you who I may have missed as well. When will be the next priestess training? I really wanted it to start the end of this year, but hopefully it will start. It will definitely start in next year. So if you will stay tuned, you will definitely hear when we make it available for people. But I'm going to say to you, it's going to be after our next initiation. I was hoping initiation would be late this year. My time and my schedule is in too much turmoil for me to devote enough time to it. So expect that initiation will be coming very soon. If you are an initiated member of the shrine, then we are much more comfortable with you becoming part of the priesthood. If you are not an initiated member of the shrine, you should show us that you've been initiated by another similar shrine. And then perhaps we would welcome you into our priesthood as well. But if you're not in either of them, I would suggest that when you hear that the initiation occurs, you start there. And then you can also do priesthood later. Okay. I see Kamisha. Sen Gavin says, money and power is tied to your ability to master your potential, which is driven by application of spiritual knowledge. That is what I was saying precisely. So if you're looking for a one-to-one, if you learn about the Neteru, the deities of Kemet, you're going to become wealthy. The one-to-one, if it was like that, I would not be here. Your spiritual underpinning should do more for you than simply something as basic as earn you money. But if you come into the world understanding your role within it, you can then operate in a much more powerful and a fuller comprehensive way in that way. Excellently put, Sen Gavin, Sen Kamisha. No, Sobek is the crocodile. Yes, Sobek is usually the crocodile. Someone must have said the crocodile. Sinet Newt, I said you were just about to ask. Yes. Well, let us know, Sinet Newt, that you're interested. I guess that is saying that you're interested. We will let you know soon. We will let you know soon. I want you to know that in this instance, this is more what we should look about. We should see this character in this picture more as Jehuti than as Hapi. So what is the device? Because you're not just seeing an image of Jehuti, are you? You're seeing it's on a device, right? This deity, this baboon, Jehuti, by the way, you should know, is usually depicted as the bird. I should have prepared an image for those of you who are unfamiliar, because we're talking to more than just the folks that are most familiar. Jehuti is more often depicted as the bird with the long beak. Sometimes you'll hear some people call that bird the ibis bird, when in actuality ibis is not the ancient African word for that deity. We should say that entity is better known as the Hebi bird. The Hebi bird, that is the Kemetic name for the quote unquote ibis. I'm not sure if you all knew that. But I want you to see. I'll stop screen. I guess I have to share it again. I want you to look again at this image. Here we go. Here's Jehuti, sometimes described as Tehuti. It depends on where you're from. I think now, I think that the pronunciation Jehuti is more accurate than Tehuti. But being someone who came out of the shrine of Ptah in my earliest years, we vocalized this deity as Tehuti. And so I tend to as well still. And Sinet Newt, I did not remember that that Tehuti is behind me, Sinet Newt. Here I am looking for the image and forgetting that Tehuti is standing right behind me, right? Dwa, Sinet. And Sen Gavin is saying something important here, saying that 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night were defined by Africans. We literally defined day and time itself. Yes. Our concept of time is something that was given to us by our ancient African ancestors from ancient Cam. Our very concept of time is Kemetic. This is an important concept, and one that I hope you are prepared to hear. And so when we look at this, Anken Ma'at, by the way, to Rich Duglin, Anken Ma'at, one of our full members coming to us from Queens. Anken Ma'at, dear brother, it's good to know you're there. Anken Ma'at to Aaron Taylor, who I don't think I greeted you yet. And Rod, you noticed it was behind me too, right? I don't know why I didn't. I forgot, y'all. Come on, man. Y'all supposed to help me out. You did help me out. And Sen Atan says, it's a device that collects water and it comes out in drops to count time. Did you know that? Did you know that this device often is called a clepsydra? Clepsydra. Did you know that? That your African ancestors were so skilled at the study of time that they actually even had a water clock. A water clock, a clock that counted time by measuring the release of water. This particular one, by the way, is at the in Metropolitan Museum. It's in that smaller area, so you might have seen all the magnificent pieces and not seen this one. But this is a really interesting piece. Look at it here. It says this is from the late period, right? There are some that are from earlier, but you can say this piece is considered to be a model of a water clock. Water within could drain from a hole between the baboon's legs over a measured time. The object was likely a temple offering to the Neter Jehuti, they say the god Thoth, in his role as overseer of knowledge and measurement. Did you know that your Kemetic ancestors had water clocks? Water clocks. This is, to me at least, quite fascinating. It describes just how skilled they were at considering time. Here's another, by the way, clepsydra. This is the one that is in the Cairo Museum. It's from the New Kingdom, probably from the time of Amenhotep III, who is a powerful deity, a powerful ruler who we should think of as sort of the grandfather of King Tutankhamun, just so you know if you're not familiar with him. This one is of critical importance as well. This is a larger one. I believe Senaton might know about the clepsydra, because if I'm correct, Senaton, please let me know. I may be confusing the Institute for the Study of Ancient Cultures or the Boston Museum, but I believe there's a beautiful clepsydra in Chicago. Am I correct? Is it there, or is it actually? Am I confusing it with the Boston Museum? I think that there's a really beautiful one that looks similar to this, actually, in the museum in your city, Senaton. Am I correct? Yes, there's one in Chicago too. That's exactly what I thought. So, listen, I want you to remember, you're not just reading things online. You're not just reading things in books. You should venture to the museums because they are veritable teaching tools. This is probably one of the reasons why Senaton knew what it was, because he is up in the museum doing study. Didn't I just say earlier that he gave an amazing tour of that institute, that all the shrine members that were with him continued to revel? I got text during it saying Senaton is doing his thing. He would be proud. This brother is studied and is powerful. So you need to also do your work there. Where would it be placed? It's not. Now, keep in mind, Kemet is actually in the desert, right? It's in the desert. So you should recognize that it's not like rain filled it and then they watched it come out. A priest or priestess would pour water in, and the way that it was constructed, it would release water at a very consistent interval, so that you could actually measure time based on the release of water. Imagine that. Where are these in the modern world, in our contemporary world? I would love to have one of these. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you love to have one of these? Your ancestors mastered time to the point where they could use water to count it. Most historians argue that this is the oldest clepsydra. I do not know the Kemetic term for clepsydra. I'm still doing research. But it is the oldest one in existence, and that there were only two countries that did this, two nations that did this early. The first one would have been Sumer, and also not the first we believe that Sumer and Kemet were doing this at the same time. Let's say that. But we do believe that Sumer was doing this as well. And much later, we know that the Greeks had these as well. But of course, that knowledge had filtered to them. So I want you to get a sense of the importance of this. I want you to get a sense of how masterful your ancestors were. By the way, also here, you should recognize that the area where the water came out would have been next to Jehuti as well. Jehuti is the deity that is in charge of sacred measure and reckoning, mathematics, the sciences, deep thought. In fact, the word thought may come from the Greek rendering of his name, Thoth. You can't even think deeply without paying homage to the Africans that brought these concepts to the world. I want you to give that some reckoning for a second. And today we actually hear that people of African descent are working on CP time, colored people's time, that we have no respect of time. How dare we take that and internalize it? I want you to recognize the concept of being tardy or being lazy or not focused on time was a form of resistance during our enslavement. If we told the person with the whip, well, boss, I'm moving slow, I'm lazy, that was a way for us not to work at the pace that they were forcing us. It was a form of resistance. African, you are the ones that brought the study of time into the universe. That's who you are. And as we look at a period that we are in the United States where we actually are turning the clocks back, I automatically say, well, okay, we're turning the clocks back. What does that mean? Recognize that on this day, we should have ceremony. If these Europeans want to switch the clock back, we should have a ceremony where we have the loss of an hour or the gain of an hour, because we are the masters of the time. So what is this? Okay, so some of you say, what is this? What is it? What is it? Can someone tell me what it is? We're talking about time. We're talking about study. What is this? Someone tell me. Well, does anyone know? Who's in Connecticut here? I don't know if I saw Flexi Fitness, Ankan Ma'at to you, first of all. I don't know if you actually, I don't think I saw Hemet Netter Seshat, but here, one of our priests, but she is actually in Connecticut. I don't know if she's here today, but definitely she is from Connecticut. Love hate museums. Yeah, I understand why you would love hate them. I get it. I get it. Charles Clark says he wants to join the priesthood. We'll be talking more about it, definitely. Ankan to Danielle Knight. Miss hearing my voice. Hope all is well. Ankan Ma'at to you, dear Sinette. I've missed a few of you. Ankan Ma'at to New Cam and to Jabbar Thomas. Ankan Ma'at to Clee Ford. How are you? A full member. I'm sure I missed some of you. I'm seeing that you all are saying this is a plum or this is a pendulum. In any way, I want you to understand a pendulum and a plum are the same thing. You're describing the same thing, but a plum is a pendulum that is used to measure, actually using gravity to measure something. So pendulum is sort of in many ways a larger category, and plum is a specific use pendulum. Does anyone know what this is? As well as building the Merkut. Woo! He said that this is also a device used to build the Merkut. Sanaton. This is called a merket. A merket. I want you to, a second hand, Sanet Shenka says, I want you to understand that your Kemetic ancestors use this device to actually measure the hours of the night. I have argued many times that the term hour comes from Heru. Do you see who was on the front of this measure? Oops, went too far forward. Do you see who's on the front of this measure? I believe the term hour comes from Heru. Understand that Heru is a solar deity. And as you measure the movement of the sun and the heavens, that is where you get the hour from. Your ancestors would take this device, the Merkhet, point it to, and I want you to understand what they were doing. This is powerful to me. They would use this item to be able to track the hours of the day by pointing it towards the celestial North Pole, and from there you could count the hours of the day. There were certain stars that were called the Bactiu, or as the Greeks ended up calling it, the decans. And this would allow you to count the number of hours at night. You'd be able to point it in the sky and you could count. Your ancestors brought this thinking to the world. This is so powerful to me. And now we have CP time. Your ancestors were the very masters of the day, the very masters of time. Ancient Kemet gives us the 365-day year. By the way, you should know that Kemetic year was 360 days, plus there were 5 days that in the Kemetic philosophical system stood outside of the calendar. The Greeks ended up calling these the epagomenal days. These were the days that some of the most important neteru came into existence, and they stood outside of the calendar. There were great festivals during this period. So there were 365 days in the year. That concept comes to us from Kemet. And they knew that there was the quarter day. They were aware of it. They mentioned the fact that the calendars would come out of sync because of it. So the 24-hour day is a Kemetic measurement. The 365-day year is a Kemetic measurement. I want you to recognize that your ancestors were the masters of time. So should you be. So should you be. How about this? What are you looking at here? Oh, it's on the screen. Let me make it so you can't tell me. What is this? Tell me what this is. Come on, family. Tell me what this is. Let's see your answers. What is this? I'm sure you have answers. There's a slight delay, and that's the reason why. I think I didn't start with this because I thought you knew. I thought you knew what this was. The sidereal calendar. You could call it that, but it's a very specific name. Usually people call this the calendar of Dendera, the wheel of Dendera, the zodiac of Dendera. So I see the answers coming in. Yes, this is correct. This is correct. And so when you look at this, you will note that you are seeing the iteration of the zodiac. This is the earliest description of the night sky ever created. That's what you're looking at. And you're also looking at the fact that all of these characters, there are 12 characters here touching the night sky, each of them touching with 2 hands. So this is clearly a description of the 24-hour day. This is amazing. This is what I'm going to talk about this more in my presentation, but this is a description of the nighttime sky and of the passage of time. This is powerful. And yes, I was going to ask where it was. Medialtit TV, I believe, is in Paris. This is the actual one in the Louvre. When Napoleon took his soldiers there, they removed it from the ceiling. My understanding is they used controlled dynamite explosions to remove it. And they took it to France. It is still there. By the way, it's in a side room in the Louvre with all of the amazing artifacts. I struggled to find it, but it is there. There is now a replica in that temple that is consecrated to Het Heru. I know that I was at the temple of Het Heru with Sinette Newt. I remember being there with her. I guess this is 3 years ago now, Sinette Newt, we were there. She was with that group that went there that year. It was a wonderful trip. My mother was on that trip. Amazing, amazing. Ankin Ma'at to Garrick, send Garrick. Send Garrick, you're not getting alerts. I wonder why you're not getting alerts. Ankin Ma'at to one of our full members out there in Benue and Phoenix. Say, please give myrrh to your queen as well. Ankin Ma'at to you. So I said, yes, Sinette Newt. I thought it was 3 years ago, right? I thought it was 3 years ago. So we'll definitely, my memory has not failed me. Takori asked you, how did the Kemetic people get BC and CE, and then told me it was European dating. What? The Kemetic people did not count any BC and CE. That is something that occurred during the time that the Romans were in control of the most of the known world, and they began to describe things as connected to their Savior, Jesus. That's where BC and CE came from. But that's certainly not where they didn't count the days, the years the same way. That the way that we count the years is connected to the way that Europeans have actually taken much of the knowledge of ancient Cam and used it for their benefit. That's the best way to describe this. And so that is a real challenge that we need to surmount. Ankin Ma'at to the Nebu Kemet Spectrum. Ankin Ma'at, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. You're always here. Glad you're here. Ankin Ma'at to Sen M. Michael Herbert. Ankin Ma'at to you, one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. So I said I wouldn't be here long today. This is really as long as I intend to be here today. But what I wanted to do is to get you thinking about time and thinking about how time is something that ancient Africa gives to the world. That's something as simple as us going about our day in an orderly fashion has been ordered by your African ancestors with no credit whatsoever. In fact, when we think of time, we use derogatory phrases to describe people of African descent as being outside of time, being no respecter of time, as being no measurer of time, as being no master of time. This must change as we come into a full knowledge of what it means to be an African in the modern world, who is connected to the works, the legacy, the traditions, the excellence of the Africans in the ancient world. That is who you are. You must be a master of time because it is in your lineage. As we approach a period in the United States where our clocks go back, it just made me think about that a bit more today. And that presentation is hot. It's coming hot off the presses. I want to talk about ancient Kemet and time, because the very way that we view time today is something that was given to us by Africans. They ought to get credit. And as you count hours today, have you burned a candle for your African ancestors? Have you measured an hour and set a hesse? I think on the days when the clock changes, even though it's a secular thing created by Europeans, as the masters of time, maybe that day we should do a hesse every hour. Maybe that's what you should do. Maybe that's what we should do. We should be able to focus on the movements of the heavens. In fact, that is what an hour is. We are measuring the movements of the heavens. And your ancestors had become so masterful at this measurement that they could measure time with water, that they could measure time by looking at a star with the Merket, a device that allowed them to count the hours of the nighttime sky. I want you to think about your ancestors today. Feed them today, as they have given so much to us. It is when we maintain our relationship with them that we are in our power, we are in our strength. When we draw from the knowledge, the wisdom, and the legacy of some of the most influential human beings to ever walk on two legs, we will empower ourselves to walk more firmly, more strongly, more securely in our modern world today. With that, the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Shem and Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. I want you to think about this a bit today. And perhaps on your social media, talk about how everyone's thinking about time today and not thinking about the Africans that gave us the measurements. Let's see you do it on your social media. Each of us should be able to be talking about what our foremothers and forefathers did so that we can give them honor, we can give them credit for what they did. Have an excellent Sunday and an excellent week. We will see you soon. And for those of you in the United States who are this week maybe feeling a little crazy, please go vote. If you haven't voted already, please vote, because your voice is of critical importance. We'll see you soon. Ak and Ma'at and Shem and Ma'at. Peace.